Hello, this is Sirrano with the New Jersey Pulse News. As you know, recently in the city of Paterson, I have filed criminal charges against 7 members of the Paterson City Council. The case came out of Paterson. It was a conflict with the judges, and it was sent out to Pompton Lakes. After those charges were filed, the City Council decided it was going to retaliate against me and punish me further for being the press and reporting stories about them. And I decided that I was going to take action to protect my rights as the press. But apparently there are judges and people in power that are over those judges in the Democratic Party that controls them. And I have asked for all the cases to be removed outside and close to the city of Paterson to avoid that conflict. But apparently it has not worked, it has not been happening. We have a case that went to Bloomingdale, and 4 people were attempting to boycott and damage my newspaper to punish me for writing stories about them in press. The judge over there, what he did was he had Andrew Sayer, the councilman, and 3 others. The councilman was the most effective in causing the damage, and when I went to the court, he said he's finding probable cause to charge the 3, but not the councilman. And I looked at him and said, "Did you see the video? There's a video involved here." And he said, "Yes." So he put the councilman above the law. But the other 3 are charged with not even doing the damage that he did. Then there's a case of Michael Jackson, where he lied to the police officers in the Paterson City Council chamber to try to have me arrested as the press to remove me. It found out that the clerk said he lied. I took it to Clifton, and the Clifton judge refused to charge him for lying to the police officer. I had to fight for the case. He got nasty with me and finally gave me 1 count of harassment, but will not give me him lying to a police officer. Anyone who lies to a police officer, even about having ID or not, or being a different person, they're arrested. This guy was also put above the law. And then you have Aslan Gao went to Prospect Park, made terroristic threats. The witnesses were sheriff officers who were ready to testify, part of the party. He was placed above the law, all given immunity by these judges in these areas. So what I want to show you today is after the judge in Pompton Lakes charged the council members, 7 council members, with violating my rights, Judge Meola, and I'm going to show you a picture of this guy because I think it's about time we show who these people are. Judge Meola decided that he was going to, let's get a better picture of him. Okay, so this is Judge Meola. Let's see if he's behind me. No, he isn't. So this is Judge Meola, and he really made me mad. I know that F in his name stands for something else, but I know this guy. He handled the Vera Eames case, and he was very suspicious in the Vera Eames case. He was very suspicious in appearance by me, Councilman Andrew Sayer, convicted felon Ernest Rucker, hustler Linda Galashow, who ran for Senate in the Republican side, and Rucker's wife. These are the 4 people that appeared in his Hawthorne court to make the case. After the Vera Eames case, where she never faced a day in trial, he was part of all of that. One of the lawyers walked out of the court, and who was on the phone? John Curry, the chairman of the Passaic County Democratic Party, and now the entire state. He was on the phone with them, making sure Vera Eames did not spend a day in jail or was removed from office because they need her. So this is the judge that was involved in that. I was skeptical of having this court judge case go to him. Somebody told me he was going to be elevated if she didn't get, charged, and he was. He was elevated to the Superior Court. He's in charge of the 16 cities in Passaic County. They put 1 judge in charge of everybody to preside over that. So, what I want to play for you, because I want to get to, I filed these charges against the elected officials, and there was a whole bunch of charges that went through that where they were found, just 107 charges. The judge in Pompton Lakes looked at, listened to. She didn't even see the video. She listened to me very carefully. And I want to show you this book. This is a criminal code book. Elected officials are afraid, if you ever read this book, how you can catch them and file charges against them. But they have judges in places that protects them, so you have to be careful now. What I did was I followed this book. I followed the law on the official misconduct. And official misconduct reads as this. A public servant, which is an elected official, or anyone in the government that is working for the government, is guilty of official misconduct when, with purpose to obtain a benefit for himself or herself and another, and to injure or to deprive another of a benefit. So if they're looking for a benefit for themselves, financially, job-wise, trying to get favors, it's illegal. If they're trying to get a benefit for somebody else and use their powers to do that, it's illegal. If they're trying to deprive a person and use their powers to do that from a benefit, it's illegal. So I went to Prompton Lakes, and I'm going to tell you how the cases got to Prompton Lakes, and I want to play something for you. Meola sent it to Prompton Lakes, and I'm going to play that to you and tell you the current case was happening. So it went to Prompton Lakes, and the judge didn't want to see any evidence. She said, I don't want to see any evidence, I just want to listen to you. What are you saying? And she asked me questions. Were they elected officials at the time that they committed the offense? And I said, yes. Do you know them? Yes, I did. How do you know them? At the council meeting. And what exactly did they do, and how did they violate their office? And I said, well, Judge, in their office, I had the right to speak at a microphone. That's a benefit guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States. And what they did was they blocked me using their powers after the campaign people spoke and deprived me of that right. So the judge found probable cause on 7 of them, 6 charges each. And she was right to do so because I have a benefit. You have a benefit to speak at a microphone at a public meeting. And if they use their powers to take that away, it is criminal. According to the New Jersey Criminal Code book, they cannot use their powers to deprive you of a right. So those cases are now here in Passaic County and going to the grand jury. So recently I heard that Judge Caposello, who is the main judge in Passaic County, sent an order to take all my cases, because they were all over the place, and bring them under one umbrella, which is what I've been asking for. And so you have the Saya case with the 4 boycott. Apparently the judge, Rodriguez, I should have a picture of him, I want to start putting their photos. Judge Rodriguez knew Andre Saya from Passaic City, held the case for almost 3 years. And when I went into the court, well, I'm going to do the audio because I want you to hear that audio, the argument between me and him. Why did you keep this case for 3 years if you knew him? Then he said he was going to give a note to the judge, the next judge that picked the case up. And that's what I feel happened when that Bloomingdale judge took the case. He saw that note, he looked at it, I'll charge 3, I won't charge the consummate, because he's friends with that guy. This is the secret society. This is the secret thing that goes on with judges and officials. Just remember, they all go to the same event, the same party, they all bed with each other. So, this is what's happening. So anyway, Judge Meola here had a conversation last year, and let me see if I can get the date. Last year there was a conversation where I showed up in Hawthorne. Judge Meola was not in North Haledon yet. He was only the presiding judge in Hawthorne, New Jersey. So, actually I think he was the presiding judge, but that's why he practices his judgeship in Hawthorne. So I want to play this for you so that you can understand the evidence against Judge Meola, because I filed criminal charges against him. Here's why I filed criminal charges against him. After these people violated my rights on the reorg meeting, what they do is they have these rule where they list all these newspapers, and the newspapers receive information from the Sunshine Law. And if you make a request, you have to get from that request your newspaper listed, and you receive information from the government. What they did to punish me was they barred my newspaper and they deprived me of a benefit. And then in 2017, again, they did the same thing, but they had a discussion. They had a discussion about barring my newspaper. And it was like a public discussion, and they were calling it, I'm going to play that for you. But first I want to show you some evidence. No, I'm going to show you the evidence after I listen to him. This is Judge Meola who's now in Hawthorne and North Haledon that I filed charges against. And here's a conversation I want you to listen to, but I want you to remember key points. This is a court recording from the court. They recorded in all their proceedings. So I'm just learning about it today, how to operate it. There's no stop button, but I think I know how to stop it. So I'm going to start at 4:05:11. Let's get there. 4:05. Okay, let's go back. And I want you to hear exactly what Judge Meola had to say. Okay, here we go. You need a special recording player to play the court case. So we're going to go to 4:05:11. 4:05:11.
There's reasons why they get moved around. There's reasons why they get moved around. It's not fair for a judge or a prosecutor that knows anyone party.
So he's saying it is not fair for a judge or prosecutor who knows anyone to be sitting on a case or taking on a case. I want you to remember that point.
It's not fair for a judge or a prosecutor that knows anyone party to hear it either. All right?
Okay. Now, we continued a long argument deciding which city should not take any cases I have or an elected official, some Paterson has, into their jurisdiction to make decisions over. So I want you to continue about the entire argument. I'm going to stop in a few places and make you understand some points.
All right.
I'm going to let you be the grand jury. I'm going to make you be the jury as to whether or not he made a decision. He made a decision to deny me a lot of charges, secondary charges that I filed against them after the first one went through. I filed a whole bunch of others when they removed the list of my newspaper and deprived me of a benefit. And then he wants to charge me $33 per case that he did not rule on. And that comes up to $6,700. So this is why I filed criminal charges against him, and I'm going to use this as evidence in the court, but I wanted you to hear it first. So we know he's saying it's not fair for any one party to be heard by a judge who knows those people. He knows me, he knows Saya, he knows these people. He's admitting that he knows them. So let's continue, and you'll hear the whole argument as to which city this should or should not go to, the cases that I filed in Paterson.
There's cases, I don't even know which case is case because there's recent cases that just came up. So I would like to see the kind of complaints that's going on here. Because there's a complaint with 4 people. Then there's a complaint with just me and him. And there's a complaint with me and him with the cases. So I want to make sure that all the cases are right there so we won't say, hey, what's the case between you and Sam?
No, I understand. So we're going to do all together. We got one common plaintiff, and you all have a common thread in Paterson.
Okay, he's saying we all have a common thread in Paterson. So the cases can go to cities where we know somebody or somebody knows us.
I'm sorry I had to come down here for this, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. Thank you so much.
And if I may, Judge, can we submit to you which city we have conflicts with?
Okay, so we went through that. I asked you to submit.
It's West Milford.
So he's listing conflicted cities, so I want you to listen to this.
Clifton's obvious. Hawthorne's obvious. It's West Milford.
Let's go back.
Well, Paterson's obvious. Passaic's obvious. Clifton's obvious. Hawthorne's obvious.
Hawthorne is obvious. And who is the judge in Hawthorne right now? He is. So which means it's obvious that he cannot be on any one of my cases. He's admitting that Hawthorne is obvious that cannot take the case, which means Judge Meola is obvious that he cannot take my case. So here's where he sends the case.
Yes, it's West Milford. I don't know the judge. Prospect Park? Judge Pataki?
It was just moved. It was just moved here. It was remanded here.
Okay, here you go. That's out. Let's go. We have 12 more towns left. We have 12 more towns.
He's filed motions.
Anyway, it goes on. That was Andrew Sayers' voice trying to get his thing. So we're going to go 773.
I'm going to take the file down tomorrow to the county. We're going to determine West Milford is Judge Perconti.
He's still talking about cities outside. He wants to send the cases.
With Judge Perconti?
Yes.
Okay, so he's in 4 towns. So now we're down to 8.
Yeah, Halden.
Halden, Judge Segreto. Anybody Judge Segreto?
We're disqualifying cities at this point. And just remember, Hawthorne, where he is also disqualified. He said that. I didn't say it.
Halden, Judge Segreto. Anybody Judge Segreto? Judge Segreto?
No.
Halden, I like it. Halden?
Suggestions in the audience. So.
Halden? Halden.
All right, let's go to what he says. He finalizes the city that we're going to go to.
Total was out. So right now, Boston Lakes. Judge Accardi.
Boston Lakes.
Boston Lakes, here we go. Boston Lakes, and we gotta check Mill Falls Woodland Park.
Not Woodland Park, Judge. No.
No problem?
There's a problem with Woodland Park.
Well, there's a problem with Mill Falls, because she said she...
The mayor would have to look at it.
Parking illegally. This is you guys. Particularly my pay.
Thank you, Paul. We'll figure it out. So it looks like Boston Lakes or Helen. What did it do? Thank you all. Good to see you.
Corporation Counsel Paterson, is he Haven or North Haven?
I'm sorry, North Haven, I said. I'd like to get option 2, North Haven. Do you know anybody in North
The mayor
Haven?
hailed it.
The mayor here is Corporation Counsel that represents Mr. Say in the city of Paterson when he's at the council seat.
I'm in Shippensburg County. Bye. Good night, everybody.
Okay. So I wanted you to play this because I wanted you to understand why I filed criminal charges against Judge Meola for dismissing all my cases against the Paterson officials. But before I do that, I also want to read this letter to you. So here's what happens when you file a case in the Paterson Municipal Court. You file a case in the Paterson Municipal Court, it goes up to Superior Court. If you have a conflict with the judge, so I'm conflicted out, so the judges in Paterson can't hear my case. So automatically that case goes to Superior Court on the 6th floor, 77 Hamilton, where the clerks there decide which cities to send it to. But Judge Meola, as you can hear from his own words, disqualifying himself that he cannot hear my cases and the elected officials' cases, he is conflicted out. He called all the cities, he called his city, he could not hear any case with me and the elected officials. I was good with that. We decided it was going to be, or he decided it was going to be Pompton Lakes or even out of the county. So all the cities surrounding Paterson where the Democratic Party controlled was out, including his. He stated he couldn't hear the case. All right, I want you to remember that. So it went to Pompton Lakes. I go before the Pompton Lakes judge. I open up the book. I show her. Here's the criminal code. Here's the violation. The violation that they did matches the code. The code says they can't do this and abuse their powers to do with this, and they did it. They deprived me of a benefit protected under the United States Constitution. The judge agreed. They all got charged. Immediately, their head starts spinning. So what does Judge Meola do? I filed the other charges, which is about 200. Because what I did, I charged him for official misconduct. I charged him for harassment. I charged him for disorderly conduct on the First Amendment. Got 3. Violating the Sunshine Law, depriving me of a right, got 3. Due process, got 3. So it's 5 charges by 3. That's 15 each. And that's 8 council members. So it went to him. All he had to do was to open up the book and say, look, were they elected officials at the time when they committed the offense? Yes. What was the offense that they committed? And what was your right and your benefit? My benefit was receiving information from the city of Paterson. So I want to show you the evidence that I gave Judge Meola on how they came about to make their decision. I showed him it's not just a simple thing. It's a series of things that happens to show that they were being malicious, to show that they were being vindictive, to show that they were retaliating to deprive me of that right. And I'm going to get to the right in a second. This is one of the things that I sent him. I posed Team Paterson to get rid of them. They're mad at that. This is a thing that I posted. Who let the dogs out? Because they had their lap dogs at the city council meeting, every single meeting, attacking people. This is Bill McCoy stealing my newspapers, criminal mischief charges that he's currently facing for taking my newspaper and dumping it in the trash. This is him where he called the police officers so I can remove my little camera that I have on the ledge, and if I don't remove it, I will be removed from the meeting. I removed the camera and he still removed me from the meeting. So I showed him that. This was punishment. I showed him, I'm going to get to this in a second. Here's the list of newspapers that are listed before I accused them of being corrupted. The list of newspapers is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 newspapers on this before the election and before the reorg meeting in 2016, July 1st. This is it after. 10. And the 4 newspapers that was removed was mine to punish me for filing the first set of charges against them. And then I send them again. This is what they did again. They removed my newspaper to bar me from the Sunshine Law and receiving. This is a letter I sent to the mayor to veto them borrowing me. He took no action. This is the letter I sent to the clerk asking her to give me information. This is the letter I sent to Jerry Spezial to protect me at the council meeting because they were trying to assault me and hit me and try to call the police on me to try to forcibly arrest me so I wouldn't come to the meeting and report on the garbage that they're doing. And Jerry Spezial never responded to it for protection in the council meeting. Why? Because here's Jerry Spezial hugging Bill McCoy, hugging Louis Velez, supporting their campaign for re-election. What got to him? This is a notice of claim I filed against the city of Paterson and Bill McCoy for ordering my newspaper removed from upstairs again, removing my newspaper, violating the press. I am the only business that has protection under the Constitution and that benefit. Meola doesn't seem to understand that. This is a letter again where I accused Mike Jackson, who falsely tried to have me arrested, and he got caught lying on that and got one charge. Now this letter, just before the 2017 meeting, I sent this letter to the clerk that says, copy to all, the city of Paterson, Sonia Gordon, which is the clerk, Bill McCoy, Jackson, Sayer, Mendez, everybody who voted against me to bar my newspaper, I sent a letter. It's important. I'm demanding that you have all the names of my newspaper and media you removed from the city notice to all newspaper placed back on the list of July 1st, 2017. They were removed on July 12th, 2016. They failed to respond to that. So the clerk sent me proof that she sent a notice to all of them. And then here's the notice that she sent to all of them before the 2017 meeting to put my paper back and not bar me. Again, they still barred me on top of all of that. And this is very important. The letter that I just read asking them to put my newspaper back, this is the opening statement to the meeting, the statement of compliance under the Open Public Record Law. And it says, adequate notice of this meeting was compiled and disseminated in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law in the following manner. An annual notice of regular meeting and workshop sessions of the Municipal Council was compiled for the year of 2017 and 18 on July 1st, 2017. The schedule of the regular meeting and workshop sessions to Municipal Court. It says were duly transmitted on July 1st to the North Howard News, and they list a whole bunch of newspapers. I'm not going to give them publicity. In addition to any other publication duly requesting such notice. Well, guess what? Do you remember when I have the letter, when I am insisting that they give me notice and they put my name back on the newspaper to give me notice? This is the letter that I sent to Sonia Gordon. And here it is. And it was dated, it was stamped July 22nd, that you have my name for the newspapers to receive information put back. It's the law that they have to put it when I request it. It's the law. I send this to Meola, okay? And then I send them a case in Sullivan that this cop, remember, say put her up to sue me. Here's what I sent to Meola. The policy behind actual malice, she tried to sue me for malice and she lost, I beat her, is that public officials stand in that public office and in that public officials seems to have accepted the risk of close public scrutiny by virtue of seeking public office. And public figures are regarded to have trusted themselves in the forefront of a particular public controversy. This was New York versus Sullivan, the famous case. This plaintiff chose to be a public official. She should therefore expect that her actions would be subject to close public scrutiny, which is what I do. So the law said I have a right to scrutinize them without retaliation. Judge Meola doesn't want to listen to that. This is Bill McCoy. I played the video before where he slammed his body into me and sprained my back outside where they had to go to the grand jury. They were being appointed for that. I sent that to Meola. I sent him the video, a link to the video where he can see being assaulted by them repeatedly. And then I sent him a copy of all the letters I used to receive under the Sunshine Law that they denied me that benefit. Just remember, under this criminal code, they have to deny me a benefit. They denied me this benefit. I no longer get this as the press. It was denied me under the Sunshine Law, and you heard me read the law. This is all the cases I filed against them. I sent them a list of the cases. And this is all the cases he took unto himself. And then he said, with a video. So what I want to do is I want to play that video for you right now. Let's see if I can find it. A discussion that the city council members have to bar my newspaper in the public. And I was like, they're having a discussion to bar my newspaper? Well, that's the government, to bar this particular press from being heard. being recognized. So the government can't do that. And one of the things, if this video plays, one of the things that Bill McCoy said, actually, first Councilman Morris said, there's an exclusionary rule for this press. The government cannot have an exclusionary rule for the press to bar which press it wants and which press it doesn't want. So that's a violation. So the first thing they talked about was, let's bar him by, they didn't use the word bar, but let's stop him by using our discretion. Well, that's right there is wrong. You can't have this discussion. And then after discretion, they go, well, how about circulation? They are still discussing the government barring my press. And then eventually they came up with, they didn't like my principles. So let's see if we can get this video to play so you can hear them having a discussion to bar my newspaper, the government. This is the government, by the way. So while this is playing, I wanted to read back something for you. Now just remember they said they were going to use discretion, they were going to use circulation, and then they were going to use that they didn't like my principles. What is my principles? My principles was the evidence that I just showed you, that I don't think they should be re-elected, I don't think they should come back, I think they were corrupted, and that was the reason why I'm the principles that I have. Nothing to do with the community. Nothing to do that I stole money or I beat up on people or I cause a problem or anything like that. But here's the law that they could have used, and even that I could have fought. It says that the greatest to recognize newspapers or hand deliver to at least 2 newspapers, which newspaper shall be designated by the public body to receive such notices because they have the greater likelihood of information to the public, which is me. And in addition to that, it says the governing body of the political subdivision whose geographic boundaries are coexistence with that of the public body. Geographic, which means if my newspaper is in the city of Paterson, which it is, then I have the right to be recognized. So they were talking about exclusionary rule and everything else but the one law they could have used and say, well, we only want 10 newspapers and we want to bar his 4 newspapers. They could have done that, but they didn't because they're not smart enough, because they're common people who want to pretend they're lawmakers, and this is what you get when that happens. Okay, so I'm hoping this video is going to play. I didn't really test it before. But I wanted to give you that while this is happening, because Judge Meola, all his complaints that I filed to him, it should have gone to Prospect Park. Did you hear him saying he was excluded in the cities, and even himself, he vetoed himself as having a conflict, even his city, that he could not take this case? So it was sent respectfully to Prospect Park, where not even he could touch it. But here's what he did. When I filed a second fleet of cases, I have a feeling somebody called him and says, I want you to go get these cases and dismiss it and find this guy to prevent him from further filing any more complaints. Now, there are people who abuse the court system and file consistent false claim and all that kind of stuff. I am perfectly aware of those people. But the last set of complaints that I filed went through because they were based on the law and they were based on evidence. So I decided then if they abused my rights again and they took away my rights again as the press, I was going to file more charges against them. And I did, based on, not because I didn't like them, but based on the law says that I could file those charges. And the law says, as long as they deprive me of a right. They deprive me of the right under the Sunshine Law. I read it for you. They deprived me of the right. I read you where they said any newspapers who requested a copy, I legally requested a copy, and they still violated that right under the Sunshine Law. You saw the list of newspapers, the whole bulk of newspapers I used to get at my office and my home every single month, but I don't get it anymore. They deprived me of that right. But Judge Meola went to the Paterson court. He has the 16 cities. He's not even in Paterson. He jumps into Paterson and tells the clerk, who's Gloria, and another one, I want all his cases sent to me. Why my cases? Only. Why not go to the other 16 cities and say you want their cases as well? He grabbed all my political cases, I believe, just so he can aid the Democratic Party who gave him the job up there to dismiss it and punish me. And that's what he did. So I want to go to, so I filed criminal charges against him. I'm going to try to post those charges. I know I had a photo with his name on it. Here we go. So here's what I charge him with while this video is attempting to load. I charged him do have another copy. I charged him with depriving me of my rights, and I'm charging him with 2 more charges tomorrow. They want to charge me $35? Go ahead and charge me $35. But somebody's going to have to hear why, as the press, I have no protection from the prosecutor's office, I have no protection from the police department, and my only recourse is to bring this case. This is the only benefit that I have available to me to defend my newspaper. And they want to punish me for defending my newspaper because they're saying I have to pay $33 per complaint that got dismissed. So that's $6,700. But if it went to Prompton Lakes, I guarantee you, because the judge didn't see the other videos. If she had seen this video, she would have found probable cause. But Meola wanted to take it. He goes to Paterson. Let me get back to this. He goes to Paterson, orders the clerk, even after he said he's conflicted out. Remember 2016? That was, I think, October 2016. I can't take this. We can't take these cases here. He's going to Prompton Lakes, so he's going out county. How do you go from that after probable cause is found on the first set, grab it, tells the clerk, do not send it to the Superior Court, send it to me, dismiss all of that, and then fine me? That just doesn't make sense. It's just too suspicious on his own official misconduct charges. So here's what I charged him with. I went to the Paterson Court and I said, let me ask you something. Why isn't this case going back to the Superior Court? And they said, well, Judge Meola wanted the case. I said, Judge Meola? That case is not supposed to go to Hawthorne. I showed my objection to it. And she says, well, he wanted the case, and he wants us to send all the cases to him. Here's a letter. When another guy I thought was helping Aslan Gao sent the case to help him, here's what the Superior Court said to me. The judiciary, an independent branch of government, does not supervise or investigate allegations of executive or legislative branch employees, because I said the employee was aiding Aslan Gao. I can, however, clarify several of your misunderstandings relative to municipal court procedures. As we discussed on April 18, 2012, this is way back then, Deputy Clerk Administrator, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, was never responsible for determining where Paterson transferred case were to be sent. Those designations were made solely by the municipal presiding judge, Gordino, and the Passaic Vintage Municipal Division. Okay? I'm going to stop there. The case has to go up. It has to go outside of Paterson. It has to be sent to the Superior Court, the Passaic Vintage Municipal Division on the 6th floor. No judge is supposed to interfere with those cases. No judge could come to any county and any city and say, hey, that particular case, put it and send it to me. They can't do that. No employee can determine where a case goes. It goes to Sonia, who runs that office. The case comes to her. Any case, there's a conflict over there, she takes it, she decides, Prompton Lakes. Judge Meola already decided the case was going to either Prompton Lakes or out of county. So why do you run in, intercepted the case, after he intercepted the case, bring it in, when it clearly says here that, and just remember, 2 things can happen. The presiding judge can say it, but the municipal presiding judge, which is him, but he's disqualified. So what is the next step? The next step is go back to Superior Court in the Passaic Vintage Municipal Division on the 6th floor in 77 Hamilton. You disqualified yourself that you cannot say where this case goes. And you admitted it was going to go to Prompton Lakes back last year. And what happened? It went to Prompton Lakes. So what happened when the Prompton Lakes judge decided there's probable cause? He all of a sudden jumps in. Why didn't you send a second set to the Prompton Lakes judge as well? Why did you insert yourself here, grab the case, dismiss it? With all this evidence, he dismisses the case, that they violated my rights and deprived me. Their own law says that if I make an application, it will be sent to me. But the council members wanted to spite me. They wanted to hurt me. They wanted me not to be recognized by the city, and they wanted me not to receive any information from the government as the press. So they decided if you remove my name, you remove sending that information to me. If you remove my name from the list, you remove the sunshine law that says this guy made an application and we have to send it to him. They didn't want me to do anything with the city. I am the press. But they put everybody else. On this list is 3 newspapers that doesn't exist. Doesn't cover the demographics. Remember that? The geographics of that area. They don't cover it. I do. But I get barred. And they don't. And Judge Meola didn't see a problem with that, finding them to say, listen, this guy has the right under the Constitution to seek a benefit for his newspaper to be listed and receive information from the government under the Sunshine Law. If you remove his name and bar him from receiving that information, even listed on your own statement, then you violate his rights. And you're using your power as a council members to deprive him of that benefit. And that's what this judge did not want to see. So what the judges are doing to help them is, here's how it works. If a judge simply dismisses a case without he doesn't have to give any reason. If he just dismisses the case, you can't question him. You can't sue him. You can file an appeal, which I'm hoping to do. But you can't do that because he has immunity. If you try to sue him, they're going to say, oh, judges has immunity. That's how they abuse their power. Especially if you're a lay person, especially if you're a person who don't have a lot of money. These people went and destroyed my newspaper, destroyed my finances. Now I have to pay $6,000 on top of being abused, blocked from a meeting, bullied, cop putting me out, false charges against me. They're going after my advertisers. They're blocking my name and depriving me that right under the Sunshine Law, First Amendment, due process, equal protection. This is what I filed, and I was denied that. So how it is you don't see that the law says that an official cannot deprive, especially the press. The press has a special, the First Amendment specifically speaks to one business. The press cannot be abridged. And Judge Meola decided that he doesn't care about the press being abridged. He was just going to dismiss it and take custody when he said he didn't have authority or he has a conflict in taking custody. So here's what I filed. I filed within the jurisdiction of this court, Judge F. Meola, and you know I have a different quote for that, F for him, not what you're thinking, but another one. As a public servant, did seek to protect Paterson officials and deprive Keith Baldeo, a publisher, the right to bring civil complaints and punish Baldeo with excess fees of $33 per complaint to damage Baldeo financially, where jurisdiction of such fees is meant for offenders and charges. It means if they bring you into court and they drag you into court for committing offense like a traffic violation, they charge you $33 court cost. But here's the problem here. Not only did they took jurisdiction to punish a civilian complaint that wasn't dragged into court, you didn't break a law, you didn't get punished you're not versus the state where they have jurisdiction. I have never seen somebody who had 5 charges, even traffic charges, be fined 33 for this, 33 for this, 33 for this, 33 for this. I've never seen that. But he went after me with it. So that's a problem right there. Fees that is meant for offenses and charges by the state are not over per charge, but one count appearance. So they charge you $35 for the appearance. The excessive fees serve no legitimate purpose but to bring fear to Baldeo in his rights and violate to his rights, if his rights are violated, to not file further complaints against the officials who have already been charged in similar cases. Here, Meola redirected the cases from these judges to himself. So first he ordered the case to the prompt and next judge, who did a great job so far. And then he didn't like her decision, so he grabs the case to he didn't expect she was going to do that. So he redirected it from the judges to himself, right? To purposely block further charges. Civilian complaints against the government is a right guaranteed by the Constitution, and they should not be punished for bringing a grievance when they feel they have been harmed by officials. This is just one of the charges I charged him with. I could read another because I know we're pressed for time. Okay. Within the jurisdiction, actually, I'll give you one that's already in the courts. These are actually going to be filed tomorrow. So these are in the courts. Within the jurisdiction of this court, Judge F. Meola violated the office of judge entrusted in him by the mayor and mayor and council by depriving Keith S. Baldeo, a publisher, due process, equal protection rights secured by the Constitution, by intentionally redirecting cases in Paterson from being sent to the Superior Court for probable cause hearing to another court, to himself directly in North Haven, where he dismissed it to aid the elected officials and deprived Baldeo of justice. Meola previously on October 6, 2016, stated in Hawthorne, that's the video you just heard, he knows at least one person of the officials and their association and could not take the case. His action comes just after a previous judge set a after a previous set of cases went to the Superior Court and sent to Prompton Lakes, where probable cause was found on a lesser complaint. That judge didn't see these videos. Paterson Municipal Clerk stated that they too were confused about the cases being redirected and was sent like all the others. So even the clerk in Paterson in Municipal Court says, I don't know why he wanted the case. And I said, aren't the cases supposed to go to Superior Court to be sent up? She goes, yes. I said, but why does he want the case? We don't know. We just know that he made an order and he wants the cases for himself. You heard the evidence against him. You heard me telling him, him saying that he's conflicted out from hearing this case with all the other cities. How is it now that you grab these cases just after official misconduct was found by the Prompton Lakes? You authorized the Prompton Lakes judge. You didn't like the decision. And if you didn't like the decision, you decided that you were going to come and take it and help them dismiss it. So I'm going to try to see if I can get, like I said, I didn't mark this video. Just came on.
I want to thank you, Madam Clerk, and all the ladies.
The public city.
I know.
All the regular convicts. Anthony Davis, let me see if I can move up. Yeah, I want to make sure you can see the screen.
30th, yesterday's date.
Fiscal year 2017 budget transfer 5 and 3. Resolution regarding the correction of the second fiscal year 2017.
Those are the transfers from. I was reading the transfers too.
Okay, this is the City of Paterson's meeting.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's the next item we can go on?
No, we didn't vote on this yet. And we don't-
Okay.
Had a motion in a second. Can we?
Yeah, I just have one question, Council President.
Here it is.
Yes.
She said, that it was some expenditures from yesterday to today.
Okay, so that's not it.
Needed to have more.
Anyway, I'm going to try to in my at the end of this video, I am going to insert the video so you can hear them having a discussion about borrowing my newspaper. An entire discussion on this camera. And I was like, they have got to be kidding me. And at the end of the video,
Occurred on the last day of the year, which was our year-end meeting.
they were talking about how they conspired to go ahead and bar me. And you're going to hear that for yourself. I apologize for not being able to have this ready.
Relies upon.
Huh?
And to the city of Paterson that you're watching out there.
This message at 11:41.
On the matter, having the documents in terms of the police report.
All right, this is just them ranting and exalting themselves. Let's try one more.
At this time, we'll have the honor guards with second by.
It's a lot for me. The
Names, but forward to us.
At 10 o'clock, our unions, you must bring
It's just a glorification of themselves. I'm going to try this. I think
So
this one too.
I want to thank you, Price.
Thank you so much.
Two. Is the actual category.
Or copy it and attach
I think I know where it is. It's through.
official bid. It's just the larger newspaper.
I just want,
Yeah.
just strictly based, it's just
The Herald News are the larger newspapers
Yeah.
that carry circulation. The rest of them are discretionary.
well, yeah, I just want, just think we just need to get clarification.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's totally based, it's discretionary, maybe have some parameters, so perhaps through legal.
Discretionary?
I believe that it is that the circuit based on circulation, we would not be required to include the pulse.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I didn't
It's
get
my-
it.
Them are
It's based on
I just
circulation,
want-
she
just
said.
think we just need to get clarification.
She would not be
So I
able
don't
to
know if
include the
it's
pulse,
totally
which
based.
is my newspaper.
It's discretionary, maybe have some parameters, so perhaps through legal.
I believe that it is that.
I just want, just think we just need to get clarification.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's totally based, it's discretionary, maybe have some parameters, so perhaps through legal.
I believe that it is that the circuit based on circulation, we would not be required to include the pulse.
Okay.
It's my legal opinion that.
So anyway, this is the lawyer saying it's her legal opinion that it's discretionary on circulation that they can exclude my newspaper. This discussion was about me. I'm going to play the whole thing. I'm having issues right now. But here is their law. Here's what the law says. The law says delivered to the newspapers shall be designated by a public body, which is them to receive notice based on the greater likelihood of information within the area of jurisdiction of the public body's meeting. This means you have to publish in that area, okay? Not circulation. And it goes on to say, the governing body of the political subdivision whose geographic boundaries are coexistence with the public body. That means my newspaper's geographic boundary is within their scope. This is the law. They don't know the law. They didn't go by the law. They went by just getting him out, going after my newspaper.
We would not be required to include the pulse on our list of.
But if the exclusionary criteria is based on circulation, are we certain that they?
He's saying there's an exclusion, and Morris saying there's an if the exclusionary criteria. There is no legal exclusionary criteria where the government can exclude the press. This is the madness in elected officials. These people are elected to make laws.
They don't meet the circulation minimum.
They don't meet the circulation minimum. It didn't say circulation minimum. It says geographic boundaries. Again, unlawful. These are people making laws in the city of Paterson.
I would need to do legal research to.
But
I charge her too
there is
for giving that advice.
Resolution that says, "Be it further that the said list shall be in addition to any other publication that requests such notices, where the clerk may require requests to be in writing." So it doesn't particularly exclude the Pulse or any other newspaper based on this resolution. If they want to be included, they can make that request in writing. We're just not memorializing the selection of that particular paper with this resolution.
He's saying, I don't know how a legal mind could look at this and say they could even understand it. He's saying if you make a request, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to send him anything. That's not true. The law is that anyone that made a request, they have to get a copy. That is the law. He's saying that's not true. And this is Morris, supposed to be the brain of the city council. Just remember, this is after criminal charges was approved against them.
Correct.
The reason I brought it up is because, as Council President just stated, Council President, Councilman Morris stated, McCoy stated, that the individual is in other words, sending letters, is saying that we don't want him in the council, whatever, the newspaper. So I want to make sure that when we vote on this, come back again, with us saying, no, but that's in the legal part.
But Councilman, it's very clear in the resolution that that particular publication, as well as any other, can make a written notice to the city if they want to request the notices.
Okay, we're going to stop there. Morris said that if I wanted to notice, I have to make a written request. I just showed you, I made a written request to them based on their own law. And what do? They still banned my name.
This voting on this resolution isn't excluding that publication or anyone else.
And he's saying if you vote on it and you exclude my name, it's not excluding my name. This is what Morris is saying. If you vote on it and exclude my 4 new publications, you're not excluding my 4 publications. But if you are no longer sending me information based on the name not being on that list, you are excluding me. Because every publication on that list that they're going to vote on right now, mandatory gets notices from the city, upcoming meetings, agendas, things like that, which I used to get. So he's kind of double talking himself right here.
There's that be a further result.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the communication.
This is a public discussion to ban my newspaper.
Madam Clerk, we can do how many?
We can take number 1. I'll take number 1 first, if it's okay with you. See, this has to do with the annual notice of the
Okay, you're going to do 1 first.
Yes, and then we can combine 2 and 3, and then I'll
I know that McCoy made a comment
Go ahead.
that
Next item is item number 1, resolution adopting the annual notice of meetings.
Based on circulation
You talking about this one?
choice.
Not based
So
on
maybe we could just get
illegal-
something through legal, just to clarify.
That was illegal. The larger newspapers.
Yeah.
I just want, just to,
The circuit-based polls.
that says, be it further that the said list shall be in addition to any other publication that request.
This is a
We're
discussion
just
about
not
me.
more-
President just state,
City, if they want, is off language for us.
you see, you guys,
We can do how many?
We can continue.
Go ahead.
Resolution adopting the sunshine law.
Yes.
Councilman 7 in favor.
okay. You heard Madam Clerk. This is Madam Clerk here. She's talking about sunshine law. So I have shown you the evidence on sunshine law. This is sunshine law. It is not circulation. It is not discretionary. It is not exclusionary rule. It is nothing. They violated my rights because I have geographic boundaries. 3 of the publications, even 4, does not have that. So they get to be called in. The reason is that the very opening statement of the clerk specifically states that any publication that requested a copy of the notices under the sunshine law is entitled to a copy and be put on there and be listed. I showed you the letters. I mean, there's a lot of papers here now. But this was the evidence I gave Meola. Judge Meola didn't want to listen to any of this. His mission was one mission: to block those cases from going to Passaic County, to send it to Prospect Park, Prompton Lakes, where more charges would have been approved. Had this case gone to Prompton Lakes, he knows that she was going to approve them. He knew that. And so he intercepted the case. And I filed criminal charges for obstruction of justice, interfering, when he admitted in 2016 that he was conflicted out. All of a sudden, when the first set of charges came through and go to grand jury, you jump in, ordered the Paterson clerk, he's not in Paterson, to send the cases to them, and they were even baffled by it. So I wanted to show you this evidence. I'm going to put this video at the end and another video explaining what's happening here. This is how they violate my rights as the press in Paterson. And the Democratic Party have all their judges and all their places. They even have judges in the Superior Court. The only judge I hope
428, item
that
number
they
3,
did not
resolution designating.
In a resolution that that particular publication, as well as any other, can make a written notice to the city if they.
Okay. So again, I am going to try to do that written notice that I made. And the written notice said that I have to be giving notice. And they know that they kept my name off that. No, here's the statement of compliance. I'm going to read it one more time. The schedule of the regular meeting and workshop session of the Municipal Council was transmitted to the North Harold News and they list all in the newspapers, in addition to any other publication duly requesting such notice. I requested notice. It wasn't sent to me because these knuckleheads here took a legal official vote to remove my name, which caused me damages and deprived me the right of receiving all those documents that I showed you in that picture this thick. And Judge Meola said, they can violate my rights. What this does, it empowers them. It empowers them to further go ahead and violate my rights. It empowers them to believe that they can do whatever they want to any press, any publication in the city of Paterson, and the Constitution does not apply to them. And if they have judges in places like Meola and like Bloomingdale and all the others here, but Meola's own statement was he was going to send it outside county. I was fine with Prompton Lakes for a while, and this should have gone to Prompton Lakes. Again, Meola admitting that. I want to know how a judge can listen to him admitting that he can't take this case, and all of a sudden, he jumps into Paterson and told those clerks, his case is only against the officials, send it to me, where he brutalized it and is trying to get me to pay $33 per case. It just doesn't make sense. He should have left the case. He already admitted he couldn't touch it. Leave the cases. Let it go to Superior Court and let it go where it needs to go. He had no business touching that case. Only that the Democrats that I believe who gave him that job tapped into him to go get it and dismiss it and prevent me in the future from filing a case, because now it's how many are they going to fine me? So they said it was excessive. It wasn't excessive when they broke the law, but he knew that if he ruled that it was that no law was broken. I don't know how can you rule that these government officials didn't execute their authority to bar my newspaper, which once it's listed, it gets under the Sunshine Law. And once it's not listed, it violates the Sunshine Law. That's a benefit. The law says depriving a person of a benefit. That's a benefit my press enjoyed, and it no longer does, and Judge Meola does not want to find that. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I wanted you to see this evidence. I'll see if I can insert this at the end of the video. You can listen. I'm not going to cut it. You can listen to the entire debate over getting rid of me, my press, for being listed and receiving information under the Sunshine Law. I've given you the real Sunshine Law. They don't even know its geographic boundaries. They're talking about everything else. This is your elected officials in the city of Paterson and how they think about the law and making laws. And by the way, 6 judges that goes to law school, learns the law, have to do all these work, and these knuckleheads that don't know the law is making laws for these judges to pass. Does it make sense? This is Sirrano. This is New Jersey Post. Thanks for watching. I know this might be a lengthy video, but I had a lot of information to show you. Might be part 1, part 2. I might just put up the whole thing so you can see for yourself exactly why I filed criminal charges against Judge Meola and why they should have been charged like the Prompton Lakes judge charged them. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. This is Sirrano. I wanted to add this little bit of video to the end of this show. This Judge Meola and the party down here, they may come up with case laws and everything else to talk about excessive case filing, which this was not. And they may want to force me to pay that $6,700 in cases I was right in my own right to file under the Constitution. But this city, this county, and this state is controlled by the Democratic Party. So they will pull out every judge, every step that they could, even the prosecutors, to want to stick me with this because I finally got that case in, and that may be a form of punishment. So if you want to support, if I have to pay this, or even my legal fees, or me personally in fighting corruption in this city and in this county, you can help donate to me by logging on to PayPal, sirranob@gmail.com. That's SIRRANOB, as in boy, @gmail.com. And you can use that name to donate and help me pay these fees, because I think fighting corruption comes with its own retaliation and targeting and trying to get you back, and you have to be prepared for that. So if you want to support me financially, you can do that. But I'm not going to stop fighting against corruption in this city. I will continue to do so. But this time I'm going to try to tap into the U.S. Attorney's Office, and if it's the Republicans that's against them or somebody else, I'm going to tap into them who has authority to come down here and be on my side so that we can win this and we can finally put an end to them, and knowing that you are not going to play all these chess games to protect your elected officials when they have abused their powers in the city of Paterson. And as the press, I have the right to report that to the people. There is nobody else in Paterson that's going to tell you this, because like what's happening to me, they're afraid. And I tell you something, there are things that the Herald News should be reporting and the other medias, but I know that they're afraid because look at what's happening to me. So if you want to support me and my cause to continue to fight, because sometimes if I had a lawyer, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe we would have filed it a different way and banned Meola ahead of time. And it would have gone to Prompton Lakes and we'd have a different outcome right now. They would have been facing separate charges. Again, it's Sirrano, SIRRANOB @gmail.com. Thank you and appreciate your support.